Imagine forming a deep connection with someone online. Years of messages, late-night calls, and shared dreams, only to discover it was all a lie. For years, you invested your heart into a relationship, only to find out it was all part of a twisted game where you weren't the player but the pawn. The hardest part? You never saw it coming. You trusted someone you never truly knew and gave your soul to someone who wasn't even real. What if for years the person you were in love with never existed at all? What if the person you trusted, the one you thought you'd meet face to face, was just a carefully crafted profile designed to deceive you? In this video, we dive into Kirat's journey, her trust, her heartbreak, and her fight for justice, as revealed in the hit podcast and Netflix documentary, Sweet Bobby, My Catfish Nightmare. This story is as unbelievable as it is unforgettable. But before we jump in, please take a second to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on post notifications to stay up to date with the channel. Alright, let's dive into the video. It was 2009, and Kirat Assi, a 34-year-old radio presenter in West London, thought she was stepping into a new chapter of her life. She thrived in the whirlwind of the radio world, a fast-paced, vibrant place where she had a voice and could connect with listeners, share stories, and discuss current events. But beneath the surface, something was missing. Despite her career success, she longed for something more personal, something deeper. She wanted to be seen, understood, and loved. Maybe it was just the natural desire for connection, or maybe she'd simply been charmed. Either way, Kirat was ready to find love. She was active on social media just like anyone else her age, sharing updates, posting her thoughts, and connecting with people around the globe. It was through these interactions that she received a message that would change everything. It was from a man named JJ. At first, there was nothing strange about it. JJ claimed to be a friend of her cousin, Simran Bogle. That sounded harmless, right? He needed advice on how to win back Simran, who had recently ended their relationship. He was devastated by the breakup and reached out to Kirat for guidance. She, ever the caring person, offered her support without hesitation. It seemed like a simple, innocent exchange. But little did Kirat know this conversation would be the beginning of a much darker and more twisted story than she could have ever imagined. Months went by and Kirat continued talking to JJ. Then she was hit with a shocking message. JJ was dead. A tragic car accident had taken his life. The news left Kirat reeling, not just for JJ, but for Simran, who was now grieving the loss of her ex. Kirat did what any compassionate person would do. She reached out to Simran, offering her condolences and support during such a difficult time. In return, Simran shared with Kirat the contact details of JJ's brother Bobby. The name Bobby didn't set off any alarms. It was just a name, and the man she was about to meet seemed like anything but a nightmare. If anything, he seemed to be the exact opposite. Bobby was a cardiologist, successful, intelligent, charming, and impossibly handsome. His profile captivated Kirat's attention, and soon they were exchanging messages, building a rapport. What started as an innocent friendship quickly became something more personal, more intimate. They spoke daily, often for hours at a time, sharing deep, meaningful conversations. It felt surreal, as though Kirat had found the connection she'd been searching for all along. Bobby was everything she had hoped for: kind, caring, and someone who seemed to understand her on a level no one else ever had. They bonded over shared interests, and before long they were inseparable, emotionally at least. But still, in the back of her mind, Kirat couldn't shake a feeling of doubt. Each time a question popped up, Bobby's explanations reassured her. She pushed the concerns aside, believing in the relationship she thought was real, until the words were not enough. The connection with Bobby grew deeper. Kirat found herself falling for him. But what she didn't know was that Bobby wasn't who he claimed to be. At one point, Kirat realized it was time to meet Bobby face to face, especially after spending 8 years talking through messages, voice messages, and Skype calls. However, it's important to take note that all this time, she never really talked to Bobby through an open camera. That should have raised alarms in her head, but then again, the witness protection program excuse would more often than not justify why Bobby was being secretive and careful. However, at this point in their relationship, they were already talking about marriage, which obviously put more pressure on Kirat's shoulder. She knew she needed to meet Bobby, and so when Bobby actually said he'll be flying to London to finally meet her, she was over the moon. But sadly, they still didn't meet. That's when Kirat knew it was time to dig into things. And one day, she found herself searching for private investigators near her, and what they found out about Bobby was straight out of a nightmare. Before we continue on, if you are enjoying the video so far, please remember to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. And if you don't like it, let me know down in the comments. Your support truly means everything. Alright, back to the video. As the months passed, Bobby's stories grew more elaborate. He confided in Kirat about his struggles in his marriage, how he was emotionally drained and trapped in a toxic relationship. The more he shared, the more Kirat felt needed. But then Bobby suddenly disappeared. No texts, no calls, nothing. Then came the devastating news. Bobby had been shot. He was in a coma. Kirat's world began to unravel. The man she'd built her life around was now fighting for his life. She stayed glued to her phone, waiting for updates. When they finally came, they were contradictory, leaving her even more confused and anxious. Then came another bizarre twist. Bobby was in witness protection, and they could no longer speak. Kirat was left heartbroken, consumed by the belief that Bobby needed her. The manipulation deepened. Bobby's health deteriorated, or so she was told. He suffered a stroke, then a brain tumor, and yet they continued to talk every day, sometimes falling asleep on Skype, their calls never ending. Kirat's world shrank. She stopped seeing her friends, neglected her job, and isolated herself from everything but Bobby. But something didn't feel right. And just like that, the truth about her sweet Bobby came crashing like a huge wave. It was not something Kirat was expecting, and the fact that she had to deal with such shocking information was behind her. Soon after, the illusion started to crack. As Bobby demanded more of her attention, isolating her from loved ones, Kirat began to question things. But every time she did, Bobby would manipulate her into believing that everything he did was for love. If she challenged him, he became angry and guilted her into submission. This cycle of manipulation grew more intense, and Kirat found herself doubting everything around her. After years of broken promises to meet in person, Kirat's suspicions reached a breaking point. She hired a private investigator to uncover the truth. What she discovered left her devastated. In June 2018, Kirat confronted the real Bobby at his home in Brighton. To her horror, he had no idea who she was. But this was not even the most shocking part, because the moment Bobby finally sees her, the guy looks at her as if it were the first time he saw her, which was supposedly not the case, especially after the ton of morning selfies she sent to Bobby throughout their 8-year online relationship. At this point, Kirat has a million questions in her head and calls her cousin Simran, who tells her to get out of there, which she did. But little did she know she was about to receive even more shocking news. As colorful as their fairy tale love story might have been, Kirat's Prince Charming wasn't even a real person. The man behind the profile, the person she was emotionally invested in, was none other than her cousin Simran. It was a revelation that would shatter everything. Kirat had no idea that the person she'd poured her heart into wasn't a stranger, but someone she had known all along. Simran confessed. "It was me, I was Bobby, I was all of them," she said. The weight of her words crushed Kirat. Shock, disgust, and confusion washed over her as the years of emotional investment, of love and trust, collapsed into nothingness. The person she had trusted, the one she had loved, had been a lie. Simran's betrayal didn't stop there. Kirat took her cousin to court in 2020, seeking justice for the emotional abuse, manipulation, and torment she had endured. She won a substantial settlement for harassment and misuse of private information. But no amount of money could heal the scars left by the deception. But the legal victory did little to heal the emotional scars. The years of deceit had left deep wounds that couldn't be erased by any court ruling. But for Kirat, the journey for closure is far from over. The pain, the betrayal, and the heartbreak continue to linger. Kirat's journey continues as she searches for answers to the question that will forever haunt her. Why did you do this to me? And that's the wild, heart-wrenching tale of Kirat Assi, a story that reminds us how trust can be both a gift and a vulnerability in the digital age. From a decade-long deception to a courtroom battle that exposed the truth, Kirat's journey is a powerful testament to resilience and the pursuit of justice. The plot twist in this story is insane, so of course I had to make a video on it. But you should definitely check out Sweet Bobby, my Catfish Nightmare on Netflix, or the original podcast for the full, unfiltered deep dive. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more, then check out these videos on the screen now. If you have a topic suggestion, please send it to the email in the description. And as always, remember to like, comment, share the video, and subscribe to our channel. Until next time, stay curious, and maybe double check who's on the other side of that screen.